Assassinations of Iranian nuclear scientists. Covert war in the shadow of Iran's nuclear program. Introduction. The assassinations of Iranian nuclear scientists represents one of the most controversial and complex episodes in the geopolitical struggle surrounding Iran's nuclear program. Beginning in the early 2000s and intensifying between 2010 and 2012, a series of targeted killings eliminated key Iranian physicists, nuclear engineers, and research administrators. These killings were widely suspected to be part of a covert campaign designed to slow down or disrupt Iran's nuclear development, while Iran accused Israel and the United States and its allies of orchestrating the assassinations. Those governments largely maintained official silence of denial. Over time, these incidents became central to what analysts describe as a shadow war between Iran and its adversaries. This campaign combined intelligence operations, sabotage, cyber warfare, targeted killings aimed at Iran's nuclear infrastructure and personnel. The deaths of multiple scientists sparked international debate over legality and morality of targeted killings outside conventional war zones. At the same time, supporters of the operations argued that such measures were necessary to prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons and to slow down the progress of a nuclear program perceived as a global security threat. Historical context of the Iran's nuclear program. Iran's nuclear program began in the 1950s under the Shah of Iran as a part of the US-supported Atoms for Peace initiative. After the 1979 Islamic Revolution, the program slowed dramatically but resumed during the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s. Iranian leaders increasingly viewed nuclear technology as essential for energy independence and national security. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, Iran expanded its nuclear infrastructure, including uranium enrichment facilities at Natanz and Fordow, heavy water reactors at Ark, and research centers at Isfahan and Tehran. These developments triggered international concern that Iran might actually pursue nuclear weapons capability. The International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, monitored Iran's nuclear activities, while Western governments imposed sanctions aiming at limiting Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons. Diplomatic negotiations, particularly between Iran and the P5+1 nations, the United States, Russia, China, United Kingdom, France, and Germany, sought to restrict Iran's nuclear program through agreements such as Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action (JCPOA) in 2015. Amid this diplomatic struggle, intelligence agencies and covert actors began targeting individuals believed to be critical to Iran's nuclear progress. The emergence of a covert assassination campaign. Between 2010 and 2012, several Iranian nuclear scientists were assassinated in Tehran and other cities through highly sophisticated methods. These killings involved explosives attached to vehicles by motorcyclists, remote control bombs, or close range shootings. The precision and consistency of these attacks suggested the involvement of professional intelligence services with extensive operational capabilities inside Iran. Iranian authorities quickly accused Israel's Mossad intelligence agency of orchestrating the campaign, sometimes alleging support from the United States or other Western intelligence agencies. Although Israel never officially confirmed responsibility, numerous reports from Western intelligence officials suggest that Israeli operatives, possibly working with local collaborators, were behind the operations. These assassinations formed part of a broader covert effort that included cyber attacks such as Stuxnet computer virus that targeted Iranian nuclear centrifuges and acts of sabotage against Iranian nuclear facilities. Early case Ardeshir Hossein-Pour, 2007. One of the earliest suspicious deaths connected to Iran's nuclear program occurred in January 2007 with the death of Ardeshir Hossein-Pour, a scientist at Shiraz University and an expert in electromagnetism. Iranian authorities initially reported that Hossein-Pour died from gas poisoning caused by a faulty heater. However, external intelligence reports suggested he may have been killed through radiation poisoning as a part of an intelligence operation. Some opposition sources claimed that Hossein-Pour may have been killed by Iranian authorities themselves for refusing to cooperate with the country's nuclear weapons development efforts. The true cause of the death remains uncertain, making his case one of the most disputed incidents associated with assassination campaigns. Masoud al-Mohammadi, 2010. The first confirmed assassination of a nuclear scientist occurred on January 2010, when Mossad Ali Mohammadi, a professor at physics at the University of Tehran, was killed by a remote controlled bomb. The device had been attached to a motorcycle parked near his home in northern Tehran. When Ali Mohammed left his residence for work, the bomb was detonated remotely, killing him instantly and injuring nearby pedestrians. Iran blamed Israel and the United States for the attack. Iranian authorities later arrested several suspects who allegedly confessed to work with Mossad. One of them, Majid Jamali Fashi, claimed he had been trained in Israel before carrying out the assassination. Fashi was executed by Iran in 2012 after being convicted of the killing. Majid Shahrari and Fiedon Abbasi, 2010. On November 29, 2010, two coordinated attacks targeting Iranian nuclear scientists simultaneously in Tehran. Majid Shahriari, a nuclear engineer specialized in neutron transport and uranium enrichment technology, was killed when motorcyclists attached a magnetic bomb to his car door. The bomb exploded shortly afterwards, killing him and injuring his wife. At the same time, another attack targeted Ferdowm Abbasi, a senior nuclear physicist who later became head of Iran's atomic energy organization. In his case, the bomb was attached to his car but detonated after he and his wife managed to escape the vehicle. Abbasi survived the assassination attempt but sustained injuries. Years later, he would be killed during Israeli airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities in 2025. Darishos Razain Jad, 2011. On July 23, 2011, Dariush Razainjad was shot dead by motorcycle gunmen outside his home in Tehran. The attack occurred in front of his wife and daughter after the family returned from picking up their child from kindergarten. He was initially reported to be a nuclear physicist involved in uranium enrichment research. Later, investigators suggested he was actually a postgraduate electrical engineering student working at a research institute connected to Iranians Iran's defense sector. Despite the confusion about his role, Iranian officials insisted that he was targeted because of his work on sensitive defense technologies related to Iran's nuclear program. Mohammad Ahmadi Roshan, 2012. Another major assassination occurred on January 11, 2012, when Mostafa Ahmadi Roshan was killed by a magnetic bomb attached to his car while he was driving to work in Tehran. Roshan worked at Natanz uranium enrichment facility and was involved in the development of polymeric membranes used in gas separation process essential to uranium enrichment. The bomb was attached to his vehicle by motorcyclists and detonated shortly afterwards, killing him instantly. This attack occurred exactly 2 years after the assassination of Masoud al-Mohammadi, leading some analysts to suspect symbolic timing in his campaign. Mohsin Fakhrizadeh, 2020. One of the most significant assassinations occurred on November 27, 2020, when Mohsin Fakhrizadeh widely believed who was widely believed to be the architect of Iran's nuclear program, was killed in a highly sophisticated attack near Iran. According to reports, the assassination involved a remote control machine gun mounted on a vehicle and operated via satellite communications. Fakhrizadeh was considered one of Iran's most important nuclear scientists and had been described by Western intelligence agencies as a leader of Iran's covert nuclear weapons research. His assassination dramatically escalated tensions between Iran and Israel and raised fears of a wider regional conflict. The 2025 Israeli strikes and the death of multiple scientists. In June 2025, Israel launched large-scale airstrikes targeting Iranian nuclear facilities and military infrastructure. These attacks marked a new phase in long-running conflict between the two nations. Among those killed were several senior Iranian nuclear scientists, including Faraidun Abbasi, Mohammad Mehdi Tehranchi, Ahmad Reza Zolfagari Daryani, Akbar Motle Biazadeh, Syed Amir Hussain Feghi, Abdul Hamid Minoucherhir, Syed Borji Masur Asghari. These deaths occurred during Israeli airstrikes on Tehran and other strategic locations associated with Iran's nuclear program. The strikes were widely interpreted as part of a broader Israeli strategy to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons capability. Alleged perpetrators. Iran has consistently blamed Israel and its intelligence agency Mossad for the assassination campaign. Some Iranian officials have also accused the United States and British intelligence services of its involvement in these killings. Western intelligence reports have often supported the claim that Mossad played a central role in operations, including the targeted killings of the scientists, although Israel has never officially confirmed this. Other groups accused of involvement include Iranian opposition organizations such as the People's Mojahedin Organization of Iran (MEK), as well as Arab intelligence agencies hostile to Iran. The true extent of foreign involvement remains difficult to verify due to secretive nature of intelligence operations. Strategic purpose of assassination. Supporters of the assassination campaigns argue that the killings were intended to show Iran's nuclear program by removing key personnel and creating fear within the scientific community. Former CIA Director Mikhail Hayden stated that the assassinations may have been one of the most effective methods used to delay Iran's nuclear development. The deaths of experienced scientists forced Iran to increase security measures around its nuclear program, including providing bodyguards for research and conducting extensive internal security investigations. These measures created delays and increased operational costs for Iran's nuclear infrastructure. Psychological impact on Iran's scientific community. Beyond the loss of technical expertise, the assassination campaign also had a psychological effect on Iran's scientific community. Many researchers reportedly became reluctant to work on sensitive nuclear programs due to fear of being targeted. Some scientists left the program entirely, while others demanded increased security protection from the Iranian government. This climate of fear complicated Iran's effort to recruit and retain skilled scientists in critical research fields. Ethical and legal debate. The assassination sparked intense debate among legal scholars and political analysts. Cities argued that Critics argued that targeted killings of scientists constitute extrajudicial executions and violate international law. They emphasized that many of the victims were civilians engaged in scientific research rather than combatants. However, compared to assassinations of military actions during warfare, arguing that scientists working on nuclear programs are legitimate strategic targets is quite confusing. Some historians have compared the assassination to Allied bombing campaigns during the Second World War that targeted German weapons scientists and facilities. Iranian responses and retaliation attempts. Iran responded to the assassination with a mixture of diplomatic condemnation, intelligence operations, and attempted at retaliation. Iranian officials vowed revenge against those responsible for the killings and accused Israel of engaging in state sponsored terrorism. In 2012, Iranian intelligence reportedly attempted several retaliatory strikes against Israel's diplomatic missions around the world. Most of the attempts were unsuccessful, though. Iran also intensified its security measures and launched investigations aimed at identifying foreign intelligence networks operating within the country. Long impact on the nuclear program. Although the assassination campaigns caused temporary disruptions, most experts believe that it did not primarily halt Iran's nuclear development. Technical knowledge within a nuclear program is distributed across institutions and teams, meaning that the death of an individual scientist may rarely eliminate entire research capabilities. However, the campaign likely delayed certain aspects of Iran's nuclear program and forced the government to invest additional resources in security and counterintelligence. Conclusion. The assassination of Iran's nuclear scientists represents one of the most striking examples of covert warfare in the modern era. Through targeted killings, intelligence agencies sought to slow the development of controversial nuclear program without resorting to full-scale military conflict. While the effectiveness of the campaign remains debated, it is undoubtedly It undoubtedly played a role in shaping the trajectory of Iran's nuclear program and the broader geopolitical struggle surrounding nuclear proliferation in the Middle East. The legacy of this assassination continues to influence international politics, intelligence operations, and debates about the limits of covert warfare in an increasingly interconnected world.